Hi, this is Session 8 of Apigee course for beginners. In this session, we will learn about sending user credentials from body section as JSON and extract them at Apigee and then pass it to the auth2 policy in order to generate access token using password grant type. In our previous video session, we have discussed how to pass user credentials from form URL encoded to generate access token. In case if you haven't watched it, I have provided the link below in the description, so please watch it. Along with this, we will also learn about performing validations on the input fields. At this moment, if it is not clear, don't worry, we are gonna see it in action. Before we start, please subscribe our channel and keep learning. Okay, without any further delay, let's get started. If you could see the request which we have performed in our previous session, we are passing grant type in the query param and we are passing username and password from the form URL encoded. So in this session, we will see how to pass these three fields, that is grant type, username and password from body section as JSON like this. Okay, let's see how to achieve that. Let's go ahead and log in into Apigee UI and click AP proxies. And here we'll have all the AP proxies available which we have created. And if you could see, this is the one which we have been developing in our course so far. So let's use the same AP proxy in this session as well. So let's click on it. Navigate to develop tab. And if you could see, this is the flow which we are using to generate access token using password grant type. So this is the flow. So now we have to pass username and password from body section. So by default, Apigee will look for username and password from form URL encoded. But in this example, we want to pass username and password along with grant type from body section as JSON. So using extract variables, we can extract the variable which is coming from the input, that is from request. So let's see how to achieve that. So in order to add the policy, let's click plus icon here and search for extract variables policy and add this policy. So I'm going to name it as EV-extract extract user credentials. So I'm providing a display name and name as same. So let's go ahead and add it. So it will add the extract variable policies with a default variables. So we are going to pass as JSON input. So this XML payload is not required. So let's get rid of it. And this is also not required variable prefix. We'll discuss what is variable prefix in our upcoming videos. But for now, this is not required. So let's get rid of it. Also, we will not need all these properties. So I'm removing all the unnecessary properties. So this is the variables which we need in our example now. So JSON payload, we are going to pass in the request as JSON payload. So we need these variables. So we need three variables to be extracted. So let's copy and have three variables. So first variable we need is username. So let's have username and we'll have to provide the type here. Username type is gonna be string. So let's specify that, and we'll have to read it from the request. So we'll have to provide the source. Source is our request. So from source, we'll have to read this way, dollar symbol and then username, dollar symbol dot username. So the same way we'll have to read for other properties as well. So we need password field, and type of this field is also gonna be string. So let's go ahead and provide the type. Same way we'll have to read it for password. So simple dot password, and finally we will need grant type. So provide grant type variable name. Also we'll have to specify the type of it. So let's specify the type as string and read the grant type from the request. So when this policy gets invoked, it will read all these variables from the request and it will keep the value in these variables. Okay, so we'll have to attach this policy in our respective flow. So let's copy the flow name and navigate to the flow where we want to attach this policy. So this is the policy OAuth2 policy which we have attached in our previous session to generate access token using password grant type. So here we would have to, before we generate access token, we'll have to extract our user credentials. So before this step, add our extract variable policy step. So let's add another step here, and inside the name tag, provide the policy name which we want to attach here. Okay, so we have attached the extract variable policies, and let's navigate it to what v2 policy which is generating access token for us. So here we have provided grant type from query param. So but for now we are extracted it and we have the grant type available in grant type variable. So let's get rid of this and provide only grant type variable name because we have extracted it in grant type variable. So the value of grant type will be available in grant underscore type variable. So with these changes, let's go ahead and save as a new proxy revision. So let's deploy the latest revision in test environment. Now with these changes, let's go ahead and give the request from the postman route. So we have to provide username, password, and grant type. So the grant type is password. So we'll have to provide the respective password. And the username. And we don't have to provide the current grant type from the query param. So let's get rid of it. And with these changes, let's give the request. It says required param username. So let's go ahead and see what is causing this error. Now, if you could see the username field value, the name n is in small letter. So when we pass user credentials from form URL encoded, this has to be in small case, small letter. And when we pass from the payload, it has to be in caps. It is same with password as well. The W has to be in caps. So let's change it to caps from small letter and save the changes. Now it is saved. Now let's go ahead and provide the request again. Here we go. We have created access token using password grant type by providing the input credentials from body section as JSON. Now, if we pass if we pass an invalid grant type, let's see what happens. So it says unsupported grant type. So how to handle it? We have to handle this input. We'll have to perform validations on these input fields. So how can we do that? Let's see how to achieve that. Let's go ahead and navigate to develop tab. And this is the flow which we are using it now. So after reading the input fields, we'll have to perform the validations. So as we know, using rise fault policy, we can perform validations, or we can send custom error message to the client application. So let's use rise fault policy here to validate our input fields. So let's go ahead and add a rise fault policy. Rise fault policy. I'm going to name it as RF invalid request. Let's add this policy, and here I'm going to send status code 400 bad request. The payload, I'm going to return a JSON custom error message to the client application. So error, and I'm going to have two properties. One is status code. So status code is 400, maybe 400.01, and the error message username or password cannot be empty or null. Okay, along with this, also had one more rise fault policy to handle the validations for grant type. Let's go ahead and add another rise fault policy, RF. I'm going to name it as RF-invalid grant type. So let's add it, and I'm going to say invalid grant type, and the status code would be 400 dispatch request. So in the same way, we are going to pass the JSON customer message to the client app. So let's go ahead and provide the error message. Error code 400.02 probably, and error message let's say invalid grant type. If client application passes other than the password grant type, then we should give this customer error message back to the client application. So with these changes, we'll have to attach these two policies in the respective flow. Let's go ahead here, and here we are extracting variables. So after extracting it, we'll have to check for the validations on the fields. So I'm going to add another step, name tag. Also, we'll have to execute this on condition basis. We'll have to include condition tag as well. So here user name equals null, or username equals empty string, or password equals null, or password equals empty string. If this condition matches, then we will have to give this error message back to the client application. So let's copy the policy name and attach it over there. Let's attach here. So in the same way, we would need another step as well. So I'm just copying it, paste it here, and do the modifications which we want. So here, if password is null, or if password is empty string, or if password is not equals password, then we should provide the customer error message stating that invalid grant type to the client application. So let's attach that policy as well here, so which is rf-invalid grant type. That is the policy name. So let's copy it and provide the name here. Okay, with these changes, let's save this revision. So revision is saved and it is deployed in test environment. Now with invalid grant type, let's give the request and see what happens, what we are getting back from Apigee. So if you could see, we are getting 400 by request and it says invalid grant type. So this makes sense. So client application knows we are sending invalid grant type and we are handling it in the Apigee Edge as well. Okay, so if I'm trying to provide the empty string or null for username and password, let's see what happens. Here we go. We are getting username or password cannot be empty or null. So this is how we can perform validations on the input fields after extracting the variables. So that's it in this video. In our next video, we'll see how to validate username and password using any backend API services, and then how to generate access token using password grant type. So that's it. Thanks for watching and have a good one.